may already know, this year marks the 500th anniversary of the death of Amerigo Vespucci. A native of Florence, Vespucci was an explorer and cartographer who first demonstrated that the so-called New World was not actually part of Asia, as Columbus had previously thought, but rather an entirely separate landmass hitherto unknown to Europeans. This new continent came to be named America, a feminized version of Vespucci's first name, Amerigo.
Good evening. I'm very honored to be here and be with you. I really enjoy talking to students, but also adults. So I don't want anyone to feel left out in that regard. But this is a special evening also because we have been participating as a consulate in many of these Vespucci activities since last February, which was the actual anniversary of his death, of Vespucci's death. And since that time, I can't tell you how many things that there have been, but this is a really unique opportunity to explore the other. And we've worked with Mayor Renzi, we've worked with various groups here that have relationships with America. And one of the things that has been a reason that we participate is that as a diplomat, we use opportunities to try to tie together the relationship between our countries. And since Vespucci was exploring the other, since he was going to the New World, it's a way for us to examine the ties between the old and new world and to talk about our current relationship. And the relationship between the United States and Italy has never really been stronger. We certainly have worked together very closely over these last few years, and regardless of what people think about the Afghanistan war, for instance, the alliance between Italy and the United States is really one of the most important in the whole NATO alliance. Italy has stood by the side of the United States and has certainly lost many of its citizens as well. So that's very special to me because I came to Florence from Afghanistan, and that was one of the many life-changing experiences that I've been able to have as part of the Foreign Service. So all of you who are in the lucky situation of living abroad while you're still in college, please consider the Foreign Service, and I'll be happy to talk to you about that at any time. I'd like to read some words of President Obama's when in his national lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender proclamation, he called upon the people of the United States to eliminate prejudice everywhere it exists and to celebrate the great diversity of the American people. In his proclamation, he said, "The story of Americans' lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community is the story of our fathers and sons, our mothers and daughters, and our friends and neighbors who continue the task of making our country a more perfect union. It is a story about the struggle to realize the great American promise that all people can live with dignity and fairness under the law. Each June we will now commemorate the courageous individuals who have fought to achieve this promise for LGBT Americans, and we rededicate ourselves to the pursuit of equal rights for all, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. No one should be harmed because of who they are or who they love, and my administration has mobilized unprecedented public commitments from countries around the world to join in the fight against hate and homophobia. At home, we are working to address and eliminate violence against LGBT individuals through our enforcement and implementation of the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Preparation Act. So as we turn and reflect on the bravery of Amerigo Vespucci, as he forged into the unknown, We must build on the past, what we have learned from knowledge and lessons passed down through generations. But then we must have the courage to launch our own ships, to cross our own oceans, to forge new policies, discover a path to the future, to a new renaissance of innovation, vision, responsibility, productivity, with which we can all together create a new world that leads to freedom, justice, peace, and prosperity for all. Thank you.
This evening's talk is entitled Across Ocean and Gender, Discovering the Unknown, and it's a talk about explorations, right? What kind of explorations? Let's listen to Vladimir. Please help me welcome Vladimir Luxuria.
Hi everyone. First of all, I'm going to ask you to be tolerant, not about my sexual identity, but about my English. Because I'm Italian, so I'll try to speak English as the better that I can. If there's anything you don't understand, just raise your hand and ask. Don't be shy. I want to thank the Syracuse University, this prestigious university, to have invited me today. And I've been very happy to hear the words before about the importance to talk about these issues at university, and I would say at school in general. This is the best way to fight against bullyism, to fight against isolation, because sometimes students who feel discriminated, there's a dropout, they feel they don't like anymore to go at school. So it is good to talk about these things, because in this way we also allow these people to give their best to be better students. So I've also heard about my history, my brief history, and if you don't mind, I'm going to add something before my lecture, because you're American and you're not supposed to know me, so I'm going to tell you something more. Yes, I've been a lot of things. I've been a member of the Italian Parliament, and my story has been told, especially the episode of the toilet. Which, yeah, it is funny. It is funny because you can laugh about it. I'm going to tell you what happened. First of all, I'm going to tell you that with the majority of women in the Italian Parliament and in my life in general, I've had a very good relationship, a solidarity. But there are some exceptions. So there was this woman who never, she didn't like me at all. First because I was in the left side of the parliament and she was in the right side, and also because I'm a transgender. So she wanted to take an occasion to make me feel ashamed. And she came to the toilet. I'm going to tell you that there's a very genial invention, which is called door in the toilet. So in the women's toilet, we have this wonderful opportunity, not discovered by Amerigo Vespucci. I don't know who discovered the door, but usually we close the door, so it's not like in the men's toilet where. So I was closed in the door. I go to the women's toilet because I think it is right for people like me who decide to change sex to go to the ladies' toilet. Because can you imagine me going into the men's toilet? They would have a shock. Maybe some of them would stop pissing, maybe. They may consider it as a provocation, So I go to the ladies' toilet. I've never had problems, never, because people are not so bad, people are not so mean, women are not so selfish. I've never had a problem. But with this lady, with this member of the Italian parliament called Elisabetta Gardini. So I was inside the toilet and I went out. I was trying to get out and I heard this voice on the back of my shoulder shouting, "What are you doing here? Vladimir Guadagno," she used my anagraphical name because, to make me feel more man. And I saw her and I thought she was kidding. She said, pointing me with her finger, said, "You are not supposed to be in the ladies' toilet. You have to go in the men's toilet." I said, "Oh." And I told her, "If you don't want to see me in the ladies' toilet, you go to the men's toilet." And she was getting angrier and angrier. So she said, "When I see a man like you in the ladies' toilet, I feel raped." And this was, I think, the worst thing that she could say, because I think it's an offense to all the women who really got raped. And I told her, "Honey, you're not Brad Pitt, so you must not feel at risk of being raped by me, And she was shocked because she was aiming at making me feel miserable, changing my mood. But I was so ironical because I've learned this in my life. People who abuse you use these bad words, want to change the mood. If you are so ironic and smart, and you make them understand that they don't, if you are ironic, they feel shocked because they don't know how to react. So she went out, she went to the journalists in the parliament shouting that she saw me. It has been a big thing, Even the Japanese journalists came to my house to ask me about this toilet episode. But to be honest, the reaction to this, especially the women, has been, they felt very sorry for this woman. Just to let you keep updated about this woman called Elisabetta Gardini. Now she works in the European Parliament, and I hope that her task is what best for her, the guardian of the toilet, because even though there are no transgender deputies in the European Parliament, after me, I was the first. There have been two. Now there are two. Nowadays there are two. One is called Carla Antonelli, socialist in the Spanish Parliament, and there's also another one called Anna Groszka in the Polish Parliament. In fact, this is strange because the most Catholic countries like Italy and Poland have been the country that have expressed to transgender. Maybe it's a kind of reaction because here in Italy, the religion is very present, especially in the parliament where we have a big problem. Many laws cannot be approved because the Vatican has its representative in the parliament. And not only about gay rights, homophobia, or marriage for everyone, gay marriage, also about euthanasia, about fecondazione medicalmente assistita is medically assisted fertilization. Giusto? Okay, no, this is different. Okay. So this is another thing. Alessandra Mussolini. Maybe this name sounds familiar to you, Mussolini, because in Italy we have Alessandra Mussolini. In Germany it would be a scandal to have a deputy of our parliament called Hitler. We have a Mussolini here. And she said, it is better to be, and in a famous talk she told me, it's better to be fascist than to be a faggot. Pointing me. That just is a demonstration that we were born as male or female, then we become men or women, but there are some women who will never be a lady. So the Alessandra Mussolini is one of these examples. And what else about my life? I wrote it. And I also participated to a reality show. In fact, when people stop me in the street, when they recognize me and they say, I voted for you, I always have to ask, in the parliament or for the reality? I did it just because I wanted to demonstrate something. That if people have the chance to know you better, they judge you not because of your sexual orientation or gender identity, but because of your behavior. So I accepted to do this, this reality, to survive, because I wanted to show this, and in fact I won it. People, in Italy, the families, from the south of Sicily up to the north, they decided I was the best. So I won this challenge.